Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy. Leicester good, Chelsea bad. Oh, Leicester 2, Chelsea 0. I'm going to get into a lot of this today. What's the tangible fact of that scoreline? Chelsea lost away against the now leaders 2-0. But to be honest, could have been more. Yeah, this is your match review. I'm going to get into the implications of this result, the player performances, what it means for Frank Lampard, what we could expect maybe, what we could speculate, and yeah, subscribe. You gotta laugh, otherwise you'll cry. I swear that last 5 minutes of that game I was just humming the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme tune in my head. Look man, Martin Tyler said in later on in commentary, Frank Lampard has the right to expect better from his players. Maybe that's true, but it's just that can't go on. You can't go on thinking that. Look, it was criminal defending. 2 goals, right? Wilfred Ndidi scored a long range. You could say it was a wonder goal. He kind of sliced at it, a little bit fortuitous, off the post and in. Really early in the game. It's one of those goals that you go, oh, we just didn't need that, a worldie. Granted, it was off poor defending originally in the set piece, but falls to Wilfred Ndidi after like a failed shot attempt of whoever it was, Maddison. He bangs that. How often does he score? Frustrating, but I was, rather than the actual goal, I was willing to just accept that L and be like, okay, it's one of those goals, but my real concern is how Chelsea would come back into this game, because they seem so devoid of confidence, and this sort of psychological level of these players is a frail one. Anyway, Chelsea kind of do get back into the game and put pressure on Leicester, and it looks like, oh, this is going to be a good contest. This is going to be a good game of football. And they seemingly win a penalty for some great Pulisic play. Turns out VAR remedies this, and the Jonny Evans tackle was pretty much just outside or on the line. I reckon if you squint and look hard enough, it touches the line, which means therefore it's a penalty. But you can't grasp at that. It's a free kick, so had it been a penalty, we might have drawn level 1-1, but it's almost like immediately in transition from the failed free kick, they go down the other end and score. Reece James does an absolute criminal piece of defending in terms of letting James Maddison get a run on him, and he just turns like, oh look, there's Maddison. You can't do that, especially in these turbulent times, and they score a goal. To be honest, Chelsea's luck didn't change much in this game. The Timo Werner goal at the end, near the end, that possibly could have turned the game around, maybe, was ruled offside. I probably got this wrong looking at the lines, but to me it looked like it wasn't offside. But I don't know if I'm grasping it here. Let me know in the comments if the Timo Werner goal was indeed offside. But at the end of the day, they could have scored again, and Leicester were well worth their win. A professional performance. They look like an excellent team. They deserve immense credit. Brendan Rodgers has never beaten Chelsea before. He has now. Alright then, let's look at this who scored graphic quickly and give you some context of who started this game. Right then, Mendy in goal, no surprises there. We had the first choice fullbacks in Reece James and Ben Chilwell facing his old club. Thiago Silva starts in centre defence, which you can imagine, and Rudiger keeps his place next to him, which is raising a lot of eyebrows. A lot of Chelsea fans absolutely think Zuma should have kept his place, but strangely enough, it's like external media and pundits all think Rudiger's amazing and he should be starting for Chelsea, so they were all happy to see him. Not so much Chelsea fans. A ponderous midfield of Kovacic in the lone CDM role, flanked by Kai Havertz and Mason Mount, but Mason Mount tucked in a lot to let Kai Havertz get up into the final third. Everyone wanted Callum Hudson-Odoi to start. He got his start through merit. He deserved it. I don't think he was particularly great in this game. I think if I said in my preview, he needs to start on the left. I don't want to see him on the right. He played on the right. Anyway, fair play, to be fair, because Pulisic actually played quite well as well. I think Pulisic should have been dropped for this game, or I thought he should have been prior to this game. And seeing him play, he was dynamic, he nearly won a penalty, he dribbled through, the final third loads of times. He was pretty darn good, probably the best winger in this game, in hindsight, of all three that played. So it shows you what I know. And Tammy completed the front three. I will talk about player performances in just a moment. So both of the goals came in the first half. Chelsea looked like they could nearly bring it back, and then they conceded the second, and you think you'd really need a really big second half after that. Leicester did a professional performance, sat in and played on the transition against Chelsea, let Chelsea have the ball. So anyway, let's move on and talk about player performances quickly. Mendy in goal, another sort of 5 or 6 out of 10 for me. I don't know if he should have saved the Ndidi goal, I'm not so sure. I mean, he just doesn't look like he's exuding confidence like he used to, but that's something that's going throughout the team. Not great for me. Thiago Silva was okay. Rudiger was bad. Reece James, for me, was bad. He was culpable for the goal, in my opinion, and going forwards, he looks pretty devoid of knowing where to go in terms of passing. And I'm a massive Reece James fan, by the way, so I was frustrated to see this. He's had amazing games for both Chelsea and England. Wasn't great today. Ben Chilwell, similarly, not great at left back. Rather uninspiring top to bottom. Kovacic was better than I thought he'd be in that role, in terms of he made a few good tackles, took responsibility, drove up the pitch with the ball, but we know when he gets into the final third, often not much else happens. Havertz was actually pretty good. He got booked rather early, but he showed a couple of moments of his just absolute class, playing out of that tight spaces. Not like doing, like, you know, skills out, but just moving in the exact right direction, using his strength and using his ability to glide with the ball to play out of like 3 players. And I'm not talking about just passing out or, like, you know, dribbling out, literally travelling at speed. That's what he's great at. So I was pleased to see that. Mason Mount, absolute workhorse. He looks so frustrated with his teammates. Like, he was definitely putting in the effort, but it's just not, it wasn't happening on the pitch with anyone. I think Tammy was awful. Awful, just awful, man. Like, I quite like Tammy, you know, and I feel like he really didn't get anything right. Again, feel free to correct me down in the comments. I thought Hudson-Odoi was a lot lower than he has been in terms of the level he's playing in the recent games. That's probably why he got subbed instead of Pulisic, who I think was actually pretty good. Probably our best attacker in this game, but he's been like that all season. He's looked really threatening, carrying the ball into the final third. His expected goals and assists is very low, because that's all he's doing at the moment, but it's enough. It's being dynamic, it's different. And Ziyech came on and he looked like he didn't acclimatise to the game quick enough. Werner came on and scored that goal that I wasn't sure was offside. He actually looks pretty good, Werner. Amongst all that, I think he actually looked pretty good. So that's it for player performances from me today. Let's move on and talk about Frank Lampard. So yeah, it's not looking good, is it? I mean, Simon Johnson going on TalkSport saying he wasn't, not new news, but he was reiterating what he said in his article in The Athletic, saying if he loses, it's just a continuation of this theory that Lampard could get canned, and of course he could, because it's Chelsea Football Club and we're not doing well. Even if Chelsea want to move into this new era of patience and not so much firing and hiring, something's got to give eventually, especially in a season where you've got to deal with so many other people around you that are all at similar points. You know, it's not like a top 6 and a massive drop off. Everyone's in for it. You know, everyone's in for a European spot. Personally, I'm not sure if a new coach came in and had very little time and little to no time with the players and had to play every 3 days in a new league. I'm not sure what that could actually achieve, especially with no time on the training pitch. I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to say because, you know, it's a results-based business, but I think if they decide Lampard's not the man, they would have changed him in the summer and brought someone in for a pre-season. But it's difficult to say, man. Like, Frank Lampard doesn't seem worried. I haven't watched his post-match comments or press conference yet, so I'll be interested to see what he says or what journalists are saying, you know, but tomorrow's Chelsea news video could be some dramatic managerial news, you know? And I feel like I should take a minute to talk about how I feel about it. I'm a massive Chelsea fan. I want Chelsea to win, of course. I know everyone doesn't feel a sort of connection with Lampard. I think perhaps a lot of younger fans who haven't watched Chelsea as an adult and seen Lampard, what he's done for Chelsea in terms of like the club and as a whole. So I naturally have a big emotional connection to him, and with that, I have this sort of burning desire for him to do well, because him being appointed a Chelsea manager was a dream come true. But I must say, prior to him being appointed, I was very fearful. But we've had a lot of games since then, over a season, and, you know, he did very, very well in many ways managing Chelsea. So you sort of nurture your belief in him, and it remains a dream that Frank Lampard is Chelsea manager, but it can't come at the expense of Chelsea you know, doing badly, and Lampard would be the first to admit that. Do I think he can turn it around? Well, there needs to be a spark. There needs to be some sort of psychological shift, whether that's new, like, I don't know, something's got to give. You know, it's not like Frank came into Chelsea, was awful and sacked. He came into Chelsea and did well. And then, you know, again, was it about 5 weeks ago, the media were saying, Frank, you're going to get your extension as a reward for your good results. Things change quickly, man. So only he and the board and Roman knows at the moment what the crack is. But I would hate to see it. It would be heartbreaking. But I'm getting to the point more that I'd understand it. I'll have to sort of not reassess my feelings after a day or so, because after a loss it's very difficult as a football fan to not be emotional. You know, that's just the way it is. Anyway guys, I'm going to end it there. That's my thoughts and opinions on the game. Subscribe if you want daily content, and usually very positive, so consider doing that, my friends. Enjoy the football if you can, and I will see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me baby.